Yo. 2010 Town and Country van. It leaks refrigerant. Luckily enough, most of the time with these vans, I go right to the problem. The most likely cause is this thermal expansion valve and evaporator for the rear AC. It's in a really dumb spot. This is the rear tire right here. And up here in the rust belt, it always kicks up salt and snow all over this because there's no cover, there's no shield. It's just open to the tires so it can spit whatever road grime and goo comes off the road, off the tire, right onto the thing. And it gets all corroded and nasty. It's easy to find. It's right next to your muffler and right behind the passenger rear tire. I got this, I don't know, this wonderful eBay exhaust sniffer thing for sniffing AC. I can turn this thing on. I turn it on. I can turn the sensitivity way up. And I can just point it right at this thing. And it immediately finds a leak right here. I don't know why they still do it. I don't know about anymore, but a bunch of years ago they used to leak under warranty, and they actually put sealant in the system to get it to seal until it was out of warranty, and then you got to replace all of this stuff. I'm going to replace a thermal expansion valve on this and hope for the best. Hopefully that evaporator that's up above it is not corroded bad enough to where it needs to be replaced. A lot of times I can get away with just putting new seals and a thermal expansion valve on these. The thing I really like to do with these is if you follow this line, up, and then right after the firewall, there's a couple of lines right up here. And you can actually get an air conditioning, a rear AC delete kit where you can unbolt these lines, and then you can put plugs in the lines that go to the front, and it deletes the rear AC, and then you don't ever have to deal with this stuff again. The only problem is these people made too many babies, so they got to have their rear AC because they don't like their kids sweating. So I'm going to replace it. I evacuated the AC system so there's no more refrigerant in there, and I suppose another dead giveaway is all this oil that's all over. And it's probably refrigerant oil. I'm going to loosen this line, take this nut off. It's a 10 millimeter. I'm going to try to separate this with a little pry bar. Thankfully that came off. I'm gonna pull this exhaust hanger off. See if I can get this exhaust out of my way. I put a ratcheting strap on this just to pull this exhaust out of my way a little bit without bending it. It gives me a little bit more room to work with. I'll put a bungee cord on this. Try not to bend them lines too much. Around this stud I see a whole bunch of goo. All this stuff. I think that's sealant. I'm pretty sure the dealer already filled this up with sealant. It probably leaked once upon a time, and like I say, that's what they do to get the thing out of warranty without having to actually fix it. There's a whole bunch of it on here. That's what you would call a temporary solution to a permanent problem. I don't know. I'm just going to try to hold this. And I got a 27 Torx on here and an impact. I tried getting it off by hand and it wasn't going. Nope, I'm stripping this shit out. Ridiculous. Shit. It's a bunch of junk. The local parts stores, they have evaporators for it, but they don't have the thermal expansion valve that comes with it. And I got to get these bolts off anyways, and there's a bracket on top that this is bolted to, and it's all just going to be a mess. So I got to try to find some factory stuff that's got the thermal expansion valve and the evaporator all in one unit. These just got little plastic clippy things. Oh, what's this nut for? What's this supposed to do for me? Ooh. Ooh. Fancy. Got a Phillips screwdriver on this hanger thingy I'm going to take off. I don't like this rubber trim. It's got sticky, gooey, yucky on it. I'm going to kind of pull this out of the way a little. Hopefully it'll sticky, gooey right back on. I got seat belts I got to deal with. This one appears to be a 21 millimeter. Got a T50 Torx on this. More trim stuff I'm gonna peel out of the way. I got another panel here that's right there I took off. I got a panel up here that looks like it's gotta go. There's little plugs in here. Phillips screws. And this thing looks like it just pops right out. Like so. I gotta kind of watch it here because this sticky, gluey stuff is gonna get all over me and spread all over the place like freaking cancer. Maybe I shouldn't have taken that off. I don't know, it kind of looks like this might be a separate deal. Fancy. I see a couple of Phillips screws. And that's all I see. There's a little plastic clippy thing up here in the corner. Gotta get that off. Looks like I got a panel up here I gotta take off too. And another button. So there's two of these on this panel. Looks like there's no way to get the seat belt off unless I unbolt it. So I'm just gonna leave it on and just push this out of the way. Ooh, there's a wire for the charging port for this funky flashlight. There's my heater box. I gotta get at this. There's a little child-proof connector on here, a little red tab. Unplug that. That's not bolted down to anything, so that just comes right off. There is a strap with a T20 Torx on it. I'm going to unscrew that, and then this strap can get out of the way so I can get this heater core out. I got another heater thing there that just pulls out. I can see two 10mm screws holding this box in. I already have the thermal expansion valve unbolted in the bottom, so that just pulls right out. And then I think I can just, there's two tabs on each side of this heater core. I'm just going to slide this out. I'm going to try to get at this evaporator. Looks like there's a bunch of little metal clips here and there. Ooh, that one went flying. More T20 Torxes for this. Ooh, that thing's buried a little deeper. Get that wire out of the way. I don't know if I got to take this resistor and this blower motor off, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm just going to unplug these. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Got some more clips here and there. Looks like I got a little tab here that's kind of funk. And there. Out with the yucky, old, crusty, leaky. That thing's been leaking for a while. Stab it in there. These doors, just make sure they're lined up right. There. I just stuck a screwdriver in the holes to line up them doors, and everything fell back down the way it's supposed to go. Put the little clippy things back on. I got the screw setting on my screw gun set to the lowest setting. These don't need to be really tight, and they're really easy to strip out, so I just leave them really, really loose. Amazingly enough too, I couldn't find this unit with the TXV anywhere at any parts stores. I'd have to get it from the dealer like this, so I had to mail order this thing. It was the only way to get it. Okay, that's all put back together. I bungee corded this up because I love bungee cords. I'm just going to clean this. Give it a light blow job. Just put my fingers over it. I'm going to replace these O-rings too. The unit I bought didn't come with them either, so I got to find some that'll work for this. I called the dealer. They wanted $40 for these O-rings. So they're going to see you coming. Luckily I had some laying around that I've had from days gone by. You want to lubricate these with refrigerant oil. And then I can lose my bungee cord. Time to gingerly stick it all back in the hole. Now I can take this plastic cappy thing off and put on the crusty. Doesn't need to be real tight. Probably like, I don't know, 8-12 foot-pounds maybe. Now I'm going to evacuate the system. I got this Harbor Freight $15 thing I can hook up to shop air. It actually works pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with the thing because it's so cheap and it actually works. Before I bought that, I used to use engine vacuum all the time, and that's free. But your low side port is right there, and then the high side port is buried under the air cleaner. You can see this red line. Yeah, you can barely see it, but it's buried under there real good. And a lot of professional guys are going to tell you that you need to replace the receiver dryer anytime you do air conditioning work. And that's right there where them two bolts are in this pressure switch. It's a big can. And I don't know, people think that if you open up the system like that, you just get all this moisture that just magically gets sucked into your system and you get all this water in there and then it doesn't work right well. I'm not going to replace it because I don't think so, and if anybody's got anything bad to say about that, I don't want to hear it. In fact, all I got to say is, oh yeah, prove it. I want to see all this water in there. And I'm sure it's going to be fine because it's been a pretty good sealed system. So I'm just going to suck this thing out. The consensus is, too, you're supposed to leave vacuum on it for 15 minutes because it's supposed to magically suck all the moisture and all the junk out of the system. I don't want to hear that nonsense either. Shut off both of them valves, and then I'm just going to leave it sit. I got to make sure this needle doesn't go down any, because if it does, I got a leak somewhere still. I'm gonna leave that sit for like a half an hour. And if this thing magically sucks all the moisture out of it, this vacuum, it goes down, but it never does. So people are just telling you a bunch of frolicking lies. I let this sit for over a half an hour. It's holding good vacuum. This is a really small leak, so it will lose a little bit of oil. I got some PEG 46, that's what belongs in here. I just want to add an ounce of oil, because a really small leak you want to add an ounce, a really big leak you want to add 3 ounces. So I just marked the bottle. This is an 8-ounce bottle, so I put eight marks on here. I'm just going to stab this down in the bottle. Real professional, I know. I'm just going to open this up and I'm going to suck in an ounce of oil. There. I did a little more than an ounce. Turn this valve all the way on. Put it upside down on a scale. Tear it. I got it on ounces because there's a sticker right here. It says for a dual unit I want 40.5 ounces. I'm just going to start filling this thing until I get to 40.5. Looks like it's stopping at 15 ounces. I'm going to shut this valve off. I'm going to start the car up and turn the AC on high. Pretty cool out today, so these high side pressures aren't going to be too high. Looks like it's stabilizing right at about 35 and 200. It's kind of bouncing around a little bit though when the fan turns on and off. Put the caps back on and it's done. I'm going to call that a fix. Okay, bye.